All right, questions for Nneka. Start with Rashawn in the back on the left.
Hey, Nneka, congrats on the season. You use the term grace a lot. How much did you find yourselves having to initiate grace this season, and how much were you kind of stretched as a result of that?
I mean, I feel like it's a practice of mine every day. So I try my best to impart that upon, everyone that I work with every day, and then also on myself. Initially with different variables and obstacles being thrown at us, a lot of times you're trying to impart grace upon everyone else. And sometimes you forget about yourself. And so towards the end, I had to do more so on myself to ensure that, I could do whatever I could to be gentle with myself, because a lot of times, especially in sports, or even just like high performance situations, you forget that your mind and your heart are also a part of your body. And so there are moments when I had, times like that, but every day is another opportunity. And I really try my best to just kind of stay in that gratefulness as I kind of reflect.
Thank you.
Jackie.
Hey, so everyone on this team has said you're pretty much the engine that drives this team. That being said, have you thought about what you need as a player to really build around you? And have you expressed that to, upper management as what you need as a player to really build around you so you can be successful as you're going into your 12th season?
I mean, the game just ended, so the conversations really haven't been had. But for me, I've always talked about playing for the intangibles. I think that, a lot of times, especially kind of like as the game evolves in all sports, being the one that scores all the points is it's a heavy cross to bear. It sounds fun and it sounds like everyone wants it. But for me, I am all about having, a goon squad.
Right.
It's not just about having one player that's doing it all. I know at times, that there's certain situations where the team is going to lean on me, and I can certainly, that's something that I understand. And I feel that I can manage well, but I think just really having a team with people that understand that it can be anyone's day, that everyone is a threat, everyone has an arsenal, but most importantly, that there's one common goal and there's standard and a foundation every single day. And I can imagine that most players would want that.
Mhm.
And I look forward to being able to see that happen.
So a tougher question, given the success that some of your counterparts like Candace Parker, Chelsea Gray have received after leaving the Sparks, and the difficulty that you've had as far as getting that next championship. I know you said you always want to wear this jersey. Has it ever crossed your mind to move forward away from the Sparks?
No.
Edwin, go ahead.
Hi, Nneka.
Hi.
Thinking about this season, if you could only describe it using 3 words, what 3 words would you use?
The season itself,
Season itself,
like the Spark season or the WNBA season?
the Spark season.
I would say challenging, rewarding in ways, and probably, actually I would switch challenging with tumultuous, and then rewarding, and also I guess like still that of gratefulness. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh, David, then Michael.
Hey, Nneka. I remember at the beginning of this training camp, back during then I had asked you about, your growth as a leader last season, especially with, so many young players that you had. Now that, we're at the end of this season, with the I guess, the adversity and everything that you guys had gone through this season, if you can reflect on that a little bit, just how much more do you think you've grown as a leader now?
I think every season you grow in a lot of ways, and sometimes it feels more like growing pains, than you really germinating. But I would say this year I grew in a lot more ways physically. I really dedicated this season to myself in terms of like my preparation, and so I'm proud. I played in all but 2 games, And I was able to be productive in all of those games. And I know that that's what my team needs. And understanding that a lot of us were still able to do that given the different variables that changed the season internally was a lot. But I'm also kind of finding myself in the space between like being the veteran that doesn't relate at all to some of these younger players, and then also understanding that there's a generation that I need to open my mind a little bit more to. And so striking that balance has actually it's been reflective, and I like it a lot. And so that's that's growing me as a leader right now.
Markel?
What's the lesson learned, from the season? You guys dealt with so much, losing a coach, losing a teammate, and just everything that you guys dealt with. Like, what do you think the biggest thing you learned about yourself this season?
Not needing to have all the answers, and that being okay. Especially, someone in my position where a lot of people look to me for the answers, and it being okay that you don't always have all the answers. Sometimes things just happen, and you just have to give your best self every day. And it may look like 35 points. It may look like encouraging a teammate. It may look like laying in your bed instead of going out somewhere.
John, then Tiffany.
Nneka, I think, every season that you played on the Sparks, the next year there's been change on a roster. It's just a natural thing in basketball. How do you prepare yourself for the inevitability of change with every single season?
When you say change, like you mean
like the roster changes. You never have the same 12 players ever. That's just how it is.
Yeah. So are you asking?
I'm asking, how do you prepare yourself for change going forward? Like
just regular basketball season changes?
Yeah, you're not going to have these same teammates next season.
Yeah, of course.
So how do you prepare yourself for that change?
Like every season.
How do you do that? That's what I'm asking you. Am I not asking a good question, or
I mean, I'm because
not making sense?
No. Like, I'm because are you saying specific with the Sparks? Because since I was playing 11 years old, I've had different teammates.
I'm talking about in the Sparks, yeah, in the WNBA setting, yeah.
Okay. I mean, every year I approach it as though, it's me versus myself, and I just prepare every season as though I'm going to have teammates that are ready to win. That's really what it is. I mean, I'm not sure. You might be right. Like, I don't know if there's in the history of sport where there's been the exact same team, so I wouldn't say it's like a question that's necessarily unique to the Sparks. I mean, I've dealt with changes since before I played professionally, and you understand that that's the only constant. And so you have to hold yourself accountable to being ready for the people that are new and the people that are old every year.
Nneka, just to clarify, you said you never considered leaving Sparks, so you want to be back next season, is what you're saying.
She said, have I ever considered going to another team? So I said no.
So would you like to be back next season?
I would love to be back. Yeah.
What makes you confident about the Sparks going forward as an organization? Just there's obviously been a lot of turmoil this year. What makes you confident in this franchise's future?
I would describe this season as like living in a house that you didn't build. So next year we can build our house. I know the floor plan next year.
And
Oh, go ahead.
But we just talked to Brittany, and it seems like she's taking a step forward in her leadership as well. What have you seen from her just stepping up in terms of being a vocal leader on this team?
I think definitely understanding, that there's different teammates that you play with, and having to understand, communicating with people differently. And that comes with a lot of responsibility when you're producing on the court. Naturally, people are going to look to you for answers and look to you with their own quandaries. And I think where she can really elevate her game is empowering and elevating those both, tangibly and intangibly. And I see that as a part of her process. And
Amanda?
Could you talk to me about the other forwards on the team, like
Mhm.
Olivia Nessler-Nadoda and Katie Lou Samuelson? How was it just watching their game and how they developed during the season?
Great. I'm really proud of Katie Lou. Katie Lou, I've talked to her a lot, and I talked to her about, what she feels like her adversity was this season. She's gone from playing on 4 different teams to now playing consistent minutes on one. And, you know, she's one of the only vets that signed back to next year, you know? And so for her to be able to have that stability and show that she wants to be here, not just, you know, in an extension, but in how she's playing and how she wants to win is huge. She's played on championship caliber teams, both in college and in the pros. And to have someone with her basketball knowledge, but also her skill and selflessness is really great. I think that what she's going to learn from this year is how to get more rest, because she's never had to play this many minutes before. And so managing that and understanding that she can't be too hard on herself when she's out there, because she's evolving into a player where, you know, when you get out there, you have to make minimal mistakes, to a player where forget about your mistake and keep moving, you know? And I think that's kind of a part of her process now. So I look forward to that. I've now also officially played with all of the Samuelson sisters. So that's pretty amazing. And then, out of, I would say like since, what is it? Since 2000, is it 19? Yeah, since 2019, is the one rookie that I can say like she gets it since Marina, since I played with Marina. She gets it. She definitely gets it. She has a long career in this league. She's a sponge. She doesn't complain. She works hard. She pays attention. She's focused. She's driven. She doesn't let distractions get to her. She knows what's important to her. She asks a lot of questions, and I look forward to seeing how much she develops, assuming that she has some more experience playing overseas, you know, and just really becoming a great player for this league. I'm really excited to see her get better, and I'm hoping that I get to work out with her in the off season too. Thank you.
Is that good? Thank you. All right, last question.
You talked about overseas, and given what we know about, you know, the Brittany Griner situation, how important is it that we create a system where players don't have to go overseas?
I mean, that's all in the CBA, you know. I think that, you know, we definitely have had this topic of discussion ad nauseum. You know, we talked about it in you know, CBA talks. We talked about it when the CBA came out. You know, we're going to start seeing some interesting things happen with the phasing in of penalties of people coming back later, and how that affects whether people prioritize going overseas and playing in the W, and then understanding what that means for salary and compensation. So it's imperative, you know. Next year we have 40 games. So that also matters too. You know, it's looking like the season is going to slowly and, you know, get longer and longer with more games. And so that can't go without the money. That can't go without the money. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that evolves in this current CBA and CBAs thereafter. I'm glad that young players still have an opportunity to go overseas and make money though, because the reality is that salary and compensation isn't where we want it to be. It's at a spot right now that serves as a good catalyst, but you know, we're always pushing for more. We're always pushing for more.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you guys.